Okay, recording. So, welcome everybody to Farcaster Agentic Bootcamp. I'm Limone from the Urbe and Builders Garden team, and we're hosting an Agentic Bootcamp to showcase how to build agents on Farcaster. There's the online hackathon in place already, where you're asked to build cool agents and mini apps and snaps on the network. And today's session will be focused on going viral on Farcaster. We have Said, aka Outtown, who's been building Emerge, and is going to talk about his experience in building the agent and mini app, which is one of my favorite ones in the history of mini apps on Farcaster. And I think his journey is incredible, fully of like learnings for us all here. So yeah, Said, please introduce yourself. The stage is yours. Thank you again for joining us today.
Awesome. It's a pleasure to be here. Let me share my screen real quick. Let me know if you can see it.
Yes.
Cool. All right. I'm A-Town. Everyone knows me on Farcaster as A-Town. Really excited to be here. I'm the founder of Emerge. I also work for a company called Laser Technologies. We're one of the premier like crypto dev shops in the space. And yeah, I've been in crypto since 2020, did a lot of stuff in the NFT space, and always been a huge fan of Farcaster and an early user of Farcaster. And Farcaster allowed me to build a pretty unique experience that you could not build anywhere else. So I'm going to go into a deep dive on kind of like learnings and stuff from building Emerge. So we launched Emerge in September of last year. So it's been, I don't know, like 8 months. And it went pretty instantly viral when we launched it. We actually didn't even launch it. We were just testing it like in production on the timeline, and people saw what we were doing and they started using it, and it instantly became like the #1 app. And so that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about today, is like, because of the mechanics that we used, I think a lot of people just got addicted using it. So at a high level, what Emerge was an app that lets you basically take any prompt and turn it into like a monetized content creation engine where other people can pay for personalized versions of your content, and where you earn from your prompt when people use your prompt. And I'll talk about what that looks like in a second. So with Emerge, we kind of built a user experience where you interact with our agent directly on the timeline. You tag our agent, you ask for something, the agent replies back with our mini app in the replies, and that allows people who follow you to really see how you're interacting with Emerge, and it almost educates them on how they can interact with Emerge. So as other people see it, they mimic that behavior. They start tagging our agent, asking for their workflows. And then every time a workflow is created, an output's made, and people share their outputs. And it reinforces this loop of like creation, discovery, trying it, and then amplifying. And I'm going to show you really quick a couple of examples. So right before this, I tagged Emerge and I said, turn me into a bumper sticker on the back of a 94 Cutlass driving through New York City. With the power of Farcaster and Nanar, I'm able to fetch the PFP of the user that tagged our agent. In this case, it's me. We provide that as an input into our model. We also take your prompt and we process it with an LLM. And then we create a whole AI content workflow where it generated this image of me as a bumper sticker on the car in New York. And now anyone on the timeline who sees this can actually click into our mini app, and they can pay 25 cents, and they can actually run the same prompt, and it takes their PFP and will give them a similar output, and I will earn when they use it. So that's kind of like the flywheel of discovery. So now I got my output and I can share it back to the timeline. And as I share it, other people will see that and they'll be interested and say, oh, that's really cool, I want to try it. So that's kind of like the initial like way we launched Emerge. So this is another breakdown just showing you how it worked. Like Symbiotic asked for a workflow that places the user under this arc. It creates the mini app where anyone can come in and pay to remix themselves. then he got his output and he shared it, and now you can see other people using it, right? And then the last thing is just like a leaderboard showing how much people have earned from their various workflows. So that's the kind of like the loop we created. I think another important loop that we use is push notifications. Push notifications are a huge thing we use to bring people back into the app. So one of the cool features we had in Emerge is, you can't really see it down here. Maybe I can show it in the app actually, is on the workflow. We've been having some issues with our app, so hopefully I can see this. When I click generate, we have a feature called generate for a friend, which is really cool. So I can actually click this and I can find Limone and I can pay 25 cents to generate this same thing for him. And because Limone already has my app installed on Farcaster, when this output is done, he'll get a push notification saying, A-Town created this for you. And that pulls Limone into our app. And so he can come see what I've created for him. Also, when this is done, if I were to share it to the timeline, it would say, A-Town just created XYZ for @Limone. And that's using the native Farcaster tagging as another way to send him a push notification for discovery. So those are like every like every user journey that we built in the app always starts with discovery on the timeline and finishes with sharing to the timeline. And as much as we can, we want to tag people, not to be spammy, but like, because these are personalized outputs for the other person, they have an association to it. They're way more willing to allow this behavior of being tagged. It's not like you're tagging 1,000 people saying, try my app. It's like, I made this very specific thing for you. And I think when you want to pull people in and use tagging as a native social kind of like virality hack, you have to have some sort of like personalized element. I'm inviting you to try this. I have this personalized referral code for you. There's like things you do to make it personal for the person. So that was a big part of this notification loop and this creator tagging shares. So these are the different little like hooks we use to basically pull new people in. Here's another example of another feature we built that really played even further on these hacks. Is we created a feature that lets you do group photos. So I can directly from the timeline say, make a group photo of me, Disky, Limone battling in a match of Super Smash Brothers. And the app responds with the mini app showing the output, and it tags the two people that I tagged. So they get a notification and you can see the output's really fun. It's personalized to them. Right before this, I actually made another one that I'm hoping Limone is going to like this one. I asked for a group photo of me, Limone, and Statuette drinking cappuccinos as the sun goes down in Rome, as we do in Italy, right? And so it responds back with all of us drinking our cappuccinos. And now anyone else can actually come into this one and tag their friends and make a same sunset cappuccino picture with them. And I will earn as they do it. And now down here, you can see the group photo I made for Limone is done. So I can share this to the timeline and it says, I just made this for Limone. It's the bumper sticker. It shows the output. He's going to get a notification when I post this. His friends are going to see it. They're going to want to try it. So we have this viral loop of like bringing people in, multiplayer content creation, sharing outputs back out. People are getting tagged. Those people are going to make it for their friends. And it creates this like compounding, like opening up of the network of people who are being implemented. And all of this is pretty much like powered by Farcaster. The pulling of the PFP, being able to select my friends. It lets me use my social graph as a way to like have fun creating content with other people. So that's kind of the formula here, is like you tag your friends, you get the post tagging, they get notifications, and as they share it, exposure expands. And so the agent is like a big part of this, because everyone is using the agent as like a central fulcrum to be able to interact and do this like multiplayer activity together. Content creation is just one example of how you could do this. You could build a fully agentic game where everything's happening on the timeline. Some things are happening in the mini app. But like the agent's really nice because you use it as like a central force where you can push information to it. Once it receives that information, you can trigger off-chain or offline processes to do whatever kind of integrations you want to do with on-chain data, with LLMs. And then you can bring that back to the timeline and use the agent to post it back as just like this like mediator of whatever the behavior is that you want. So like the agent becomes your marketing. It becomes the way that you get on people's timeline. And with Farcaster, it's nice because like there's no cost. You don't have to pay for an API. I mean, you do have to pay for Nanar API, I guess, right? But that's like $9 a month or whatever, depending on how much scale you're doing. And yeah, so you see this loop of like tagging the agent's responding on the timeline. People who are involved are getting tagged. And when they get tagged, they see what they got and they share it. And that causes new users to discover it. And then those users are starting that flywheel all over again. One of the newer features we launched, which I will show, and Statuette is probably the best success story of this feature, is we wanted to figure out a way to incentivize people to do these behaviors of paying for outputs, right? So we actually created a feature where you can launch a token. So I can come in here and launch a token for this workflow. And so I'll call it Cutlass Cruise. I'll launch this. If it'll let me. It may not let me. We've been having some issues with our app lately that we need to fix. But okay, it's launching the token. We're using the Clanker SDK here. So what's really cool is we built a incentivization mechanic where you can actually launch almost like a meme coin for your content like engine. And what's really cool is anyone who already generated on that workflow, they're going to get airdropped a proportion of your token just for being early. We're carving out 20% of the supply of the token for early generators. Emerge, we take a little cut of the token. 50% of the token goes to liquidity. The creator who launches the token gets 25% of the supply, which takes 2 weeks to unlock. But this 20% is the most important. The people who generated before you launch the token, they're getting their tokens 24 hours later. So they're getting paid to be early. And then anyone else in the first 100 people who generate, they're also going to earn tokens. They don't get them for a week until a week after they generate, but it still creates an incentive mechanism where just by paying the 25 cents to get your output, you're actually going to get back some tokens. And, you know, are those tokens worth anything? Many of them, no, right? Because there's no demand. But if you end up creating a workflow that goes viral, there very well could be a chance that your token becomes viral, even beyond Farcaster. We saw that happen with the 37 token. We had a 37 workflow. People were putting on the 37 hats. And then someone created a 37 token and that went viral, even beyond the Farcaster network. So that's what we were trying to capture with this incentive-aware growth mechanic is like, basically, we designed it where the earlier you are to participate in the behavior we want you to do, which is paying for generating, the more of the supply of the token you get. And that's a fairly new feature. So this kind of just shows you like basically the breakdown of what I just explained. So you can launch the token. It explains how the first 100 generators earn the 20%. This entire community gets a token that they can kind of rally behind. And yeah, so that's the token. Did my screen stop sharing?
Yeah, it stopped.
Okay, give me 1 second. Let me see if I can.
Statuette, what was the workflow that you generated? What was the image or prompt for it?
That one was the I love Farcaster signs. the people
Oh
who
yeah,
are
yeah.
creating their own versions of like being in a crowded city center and like holding a sign that says "I love Farcaster," and the token. I after the vesting release, I got more, and now it's like $181 sitting in my wallet, like out of nowhere. I just created that workflow. People started minting it, and I started gifting it to others and made it even more viral. And people wanted to be supportive to Farcaster at the time, so that worked out perfectly at the time.
Yeah, I'm back. I think my browser crashed. Can you guys hear me again?
Yep.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, and like one of the things we were trying to do with that feature is really, kind of go after snipers. So like snipers will sit and they'll wait for a well-known account to clank a token. And so our hope was that by bringing down the friction of like launching a token or bringing down the cognitive load of launching a token and really just making it this fun interactive thing, that more people would launch tokens and we would value capture snipers trying to get in on early blocks and generating a bunch of fees and passing those fees to the creator who launched a token and the early generators. So that was kind of the thesis. We'll see if it gets proved out. Okay. One other thing I want to talk about is launching something like Emerge. I think one of the best ways to get your app to go viral is to get some key users on the network to try it out publicly. I didn't actually even have to ask a lot of people to try it. I think people just started seeing it and they started doing it. But when you start to get people like Limone to try your app and sharing it publicly, and people like Statuette, they're what I would call like nodes that have a lot of influence because they have a lot of people who follow them. And so the more you can get a couple of those people to like really seed the initial actions and show people like the behavior, then a lot of people will discover it and try it again. You got to do it in a non-annoying way though. Like if you build some bullshit, like don't ask people to try it. Like make it, like build fun stuff. And if you build fun stuff, then people are going to be willing to try it. So that's why I never wanted to build like a casino or some sort of trading app. Like I just wanted to build something fun where people are doing things together in a multiplayer way. And that's really the underlying thesis for Emerge, was like getting key people to try it for fun. It creates organic discovery. People are curious. Oh, that's really cool. Like Limone as a Pokemon card. I want to be a Pokemon card. And then that brings people and compounds the growth. So this is, again, just to recap, like the flywheel is we create the workflow, the agent responds in the feed, others see it in the feed, they try it, they share. That means more people see it, they try it, they share, so on and so forth. So yeah, that's the end of my presentation. I will stop sharing, and I'm happy to take any questions or anything like that.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. A lot of insights. Guys, come on. If you have any question, please raise your hand or type it in the chat. Yes, Santi, go on.
Hi, Said. Thank you for the presentation. Something I want to ask you is, how do you get to the idea, like, okay, I'm going to do like this sticker app that I can send a prompt, and this is going to do multiplayer, get the people get fun. How you get to that idea? You work with a team, or maybe you already saw it in another idea? Because I think that when you were asked where you were sharing what you did, is like, the idea is the main thing. If the idea is good, then the tools you can make it.
Yeah. So it's a couple of things got us here. One was my co-founder had already built an app that lets people, like lets AI artists create collections where when you mint them, the art is generated on the fly. So he almost built like art blocks, but for AI artists. And we were trying to figure out a way to like leverage some of the tech he'd already built, but in a much more approachable manner. So I told him, we should go to Farcaster. And actually one of our developers was like, we should build an agent. So it was like really a combination of like the team that we have where each person brought different ideas. I really wanted it to be social. The inspiration for me was when OpenAI launched their image generating feature, and everyone on Twitter made their profile picture like a Studio Ghibli version of themselves. I was like, this is how you go viral. You get other people to all dogpile into some sort of trend, right? I wanted people to, if there's something trending on Twitter or on Farcaster, I wanted you to be able to participate in that trend without having any technical ability or creative ability. And I wanted the person who like identified the signal that that trend is going to go viral to get rewarded for doing something about it. So like, if I know that today everyone's talking about, I don't know, the war, and I make a funny political cartoon workflow, and everyone's using that workflow to make themselves be part of the conversation, then I'm getting paid every time they do, because I was the first one who took the action. So that's really what I wanted to build, was a way for people to recognize trends and signal, and to create content around that as a group, and to get paid when other people used it. Someone asked in the chat what LLM model is being used to chat with the user. So one of the things I did was I actually applied to Google's Web3 for Startups program, and I was able to get us like $100,000 of Google credits. And because of that, we, when we originally launched Emerge, we were using OpenAI, and I remember I was getting like billed like $10 like every 30 minutes. It was like crazy. But then we got that Google credit, and we switched everything to use Google models. So all of the LLM processing and agent like responses and everything like that is using Gemini. All of the image generation is using Nano Banana, which is still like through Gemini. And then we also have a feature that I didn't show you where you can animate the outputs into video, and we're using Google VO for that. So all of that stuff is run through Comfy UI. We build like really, really nice Comfy UI workflows that we deploy for every collection that creates, like, we take the intent of your cast, your reference image, whatever, we process that into a really big JSON that we give to the Comfy UI workflow. And then every time someone uses it, we pass their PFP through, and it runs it through that process. Okay, this question's good, because this is one of the learnings that I wanted to have. So looking back on how you launched your token, how it was a catalyst for virality, would you have launched earlier or later? I have a love-hate relationship with the Clanker token that I launched, okay? If I had never launched my Clanker token, I would have never been able to work on Emerge for as long as I have, because the fees that were generated by the token have funded myself. Actually, I haven't paid myself anything, but have funded my co-founder and 2 engineers who have been working on this pretty much full time for the last 7 months. So we chose, in the moment that our app was going viral, we chose to launch a Clanker token because we very much believed in doing everything on chain. Clanker had a lot of good reputation. Being part of the Clanker ecosystem brought in a whole new host of users who would try the app just because we had a Clanker token. And all of that generated a bunch of fees in the first, month or 2 that really helped us bootstrap and pay for the app. We haven't raised any money or anything like that. Now, incorporating that token into the app is a huge challenge, because I don't want to introduce friction. So I don't want to do something where you have to pay for outputs in Emerge, or, you can't create more than 1 workflow a day unless you're holding a certain amount of Emerge. Like, I always wanted everything to be free to use other than paying for outputs. And I never wanted to gate people on my token. So because of that fundamental product decision I made, where I never wanted to gate on the token, it's been very hard to actually find like a reason to need to hold the token other than it just being a proxy for betting on the team that's building the app. And having the token in the market made it pretty much impossible to raise VC capital. We were actually supposed to get a $50,000 grant from the Coinbase ecosystem, from the base, not the base ecosystem fund, but like Coinbase Ventures does like 50K, investments in people building on Base. but they want a token warrant. And because we already had a token, they said they couldn't give us the 50K. And so, that was a huge blow to us because that would have funded our app for another few months. And every VC we talked to was like, yeah, we want a warrant for a future token, but if you already have a token, the token, they use the value, the market cap of the token to basically price the value of your company. So if your token's trading at a, less than $1 million market cap, you're not going to be able to raise at a valuation that actually is meaningful. And so that's the drawback, is like, yes, it helped us bootstrap early and it helped us get the app out, and we wouldn't have been able to get this far without it. But long term, it made it much harder. So if I knew what I know, if I knew that going into this, I probably would have waited on launching a token, and I would have tried to find another way to fund the app, even if it meant building at a much slower pace. So it's kind of I think our ecosystem is not mature enough yet, and we haven't really figured out the right way to manage like fundraising and equity and like tokens and all that kind of stuff. I think it's still an ever evolving thing.
Any other question? Ideas, things? Such what you mentioned. So is this Gemini? What was that related to?
It's the API, Gemini API. I don't know.
For the Google for Startups.
It's really good. I mean, I didn't know Google was so good. I just recently got access to it too, so I guess I'm gonna try it too. I mean, I'm not gonna do virtual stuff for my agent, but still, it's good to know that Gemini is getting better and better.
Yeah, but just to be clear, like, we don't just take what you ask for and send it straight to Gemini. Like, we have a very complex process where we process what your intent is, and we create a highly structured like JSON instruction file, and we deploy a comfy UI workflow, and we're doing a lot of extra processing to kind of like prevent bad outputs and generate really good outputs just from our learnings of working with AI.
Also, I would assume that you would need a lot of moderation in that too. Like people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm of the personal behavior and personal belief that like I don't moderate anything. It's like,
you haven't gotten anything inappropriate yet?
Well, we have, but like Gemini has its own baked in moderation logic. So like if someone asks for something that's pretty like bad, like Gemini will just not give it to them. So like our app won't create it. That's now, good. If you use like open source models like Stable Diffusion and stuff like that, it'll create whatever you ask it for with no guardrails. But we knew, because we're using like a big company's model, that they have a lot of that stuff already baked in. So we did like very minimal, like you can't ask our app for like, child porn or violence or stuff like that. It won't let you do that.
That's good. That's good to know. Well, you have Google behind you. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
But permissionless apps are always, I mean, we want all kinds of freedom, yes, but at the same time, I don't want to see hate speech on my timeline like that, or pornography or something like that. Of course, we have to figure out a way to make it so people can't abuse it, but it's good that you have that already baked in.
Yeah, there is Celestine asking feedbacks about Waffle and how to make it viral. I was suggesting, I mean, I've seen the mini app, I think in Buenos Aires the first time, and it was great. General tips like to make it viral, I guess, like if you follow what Said did with Emerge, like they have this agent that lives in the feed, and so people watch the feed. They are like scrolling the feed, and so it's more likely that they are going to see something about your mini app. And in this case, I think with the Snaps release of yesterday, instead of having people taking the quits inside the mini app, you can easily build the daily quits in a Snap and make it always, like shareable by the people that take it, or by an agent that is posting like periodically about it and such. Is there any other question, comments.
turn this into a snap?
Oh, how to turn it into a snap?
How do you turn this into a snap? I'm thinking now, like how to. I wonder if there's a way to make a mini app snap fusion where people can use a snap to generate. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just.
I was
Yeah.
thinking of like like when you play a game of telephone and you like say something to someone and then they say something to the next person and the message like changes over time. It would be cool to create like a thing where as people interact with an image on the timeline, they can like remix it and it keeps getting remixed and you just see kind of like the evolution of how people interact with it. So
I love that.
that could be a fun thing we build for Emerge down the road using snaps.
Do it, please. It could be like a choose your adventure scene.
Yeah, exactly. Like a choose your own adventure.
And it would create the visuals for it every time, and maybe text.
Yeah, like a group storytelling. You know, like
Right.
each frame is like the next page in the book.
Yeah, we started like Farcon. We were at the coffee shop having coffee, the first prompt, and then the next one would be like Samuel comes and ruins the table, and then we beat him. It was imagine. My mind always goes to Samuel, how to beat him.
Yeah, and the snap actually can also redirect to a mini app. So it's not
Yeah.
that you need to replace the mini app, but you can have you can use the snap as another acquisition channel for the mini app. So
Yeah.
instead of just having the embed image and the button, you can also have a snap that maybe gives the user a preview experience of what you are building in the mini app. And then if they want to check it out in details or whatever, they just need to open the mini app.
I love it. Build
Yeah.
it, please.
Another question, is there any way to add some extra security to snaps? Because it seems like it's an normal website. I have to trust the domain, which is risky or will be risky. Well, I guess it's the same. It's the same for mini apps. Actually, for mini apps, like you end up with the wallet automatically connected, while for the snaps you don't have that surface area of attack because they are still limited in the transaction that they can execute. I think they can only trigger send or swap token via the Farcaster wallet, but they are not automatically transacting for you. So it's much more secure. Then I've seen somebody else saying this in the feed, and I also know that Neinar is trying to mitigate these. I think it's about reputation, you know, like for a mini app, when you open it, you see that A-Town build it, and so you trust A-Town because it's in your network and whatever. There should be a similar thing for snaps, probably. Any docs or links about snaps? Yes, I also linked them in the Telegram group, but I will link them here again. And the good news is that it's much easier to build a snap with AI. It's much less headache. There's a page dedicated to it, so you can simply give the link to your Claude or Codex, and it takes like minutes to spin up your first one. All right. Any other question? Perfect then. Let's the slides, of course. I will get the slides from Said. I will upload the recording and transcript as always, so that you can all check it out later. That's it, I guess.
I sent you the slides just now on Telegram.
Perfect. I will upload right after the session then. So yeah, thank you everybody for attending. In 15 minutes, we are also part of Twitter space, talking about Farcon, Farcaster in general, social media and stuff. So if you want to join us, I will also share the link in the Telegram group chat. And otherwise, I will see you tomorrow. We are having a session about agent identity and reputation with Vito from the Ethereum Foundation. So we will be talking about on-chain reputation. Thank you so much, everyone. Ciao, ciao. Thank you again, Said.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.